Hello everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing a sit down video, and that video is the story time of how I broke my leg. To be specific, my medial malleolus and my fibula on my left leg. So it all started when in 8th grade, right before COVID happened. My bus was always late, like hours. Like an hour late, the bus is like I would miss like my first period, in my first period class because the bus would be late. Like it was bad. And so when you leave a bunch of middle schoolers at a bus stop unattended with no adults, what's gonna happen? They're gonna do stupid stuff to try to prove themselves to their friends. I'm pretty sure you can see kind of where this is going. At the time, I was 13. At the time, I had very bad friends. I've learned my worth since then, and it's taken that to learn it, but now I know to put myself around better people. Just want to start by saying that. Just want to say I do not condone anything that these people were doing. Anything. First person, we're going to call them Elmo. The next person, Giraffe. That's what we're gonna call them, Giraffe. Next we have bad ex-friend number 1, because there's 2 of them. So originally I was planning, like, this is in like middle school, right? When you wear your old navy jeans and you think you ate. Like, I still don't have a sense of style, but even then more so. I was gonna wear jeans, but I was like, nah, it's too cold for that. I don't feel like that. I'm just gonna wear some chill clothes. So I wore leggings. That's imperative to the story. I go to the bus stop. And that day the bus was supposed to be late, but I still left like how I was supposed to. So I got there early, prepared just in case maybe the bus ended up coming on time or when it's supposed to or close to then. But I get there early, pretty early, and Giraffe's already there, and Giraffe's like, "Hey, Eden, you should climb on this pillar with me." And for context, this is, let me see, I drew it. This is what it looked like. There was like little rocks on it, like a rock wall. And this level was like, these two were like 6 feet, 6.5 feet, and this was probably like 12 feet. So, and then like you could walk through it because like it was like a little walking trail by there. It was often very common that people would climb up there from our bus stop trying to prove themselves because we're middle schoolers and then jump off. Giraffe himself jumped off from the top before. He was fine for the most part. And many people would just do it and jump off and they'd be fine. Imperative to the story. So then, there's so many details here. Like I said, I was planning on wearing jeans, but I didn't. I wore leggings. So, funnily enough, I was able to climb a rock wall. But I couldn't get up there by myself. Why, you may ask? Because I didn't have, like, the upper body strength. Okay, it's never been my strong suit. Like, what are you gonna say? So, that happened, and I realized I couldn't get up there. I was like, I can't do it. I'm not gonna be able to get up here. I'm sorry, like, I'm going back down. And Giraffe was like, no, Eden, please come up here. And I was like, fine, but I was like, I can't get up here. He's like, okay, give me your hand. And so I give him my hand. I'll never forget this. He grabbed my hand and he grabbed my arm and he yanks me up here. First red flag. If you can't get up there by yourself, if you need help to get up on top of something somewhere, don't get up there. It'll be very bad. Because how are you going to get down, first of all? I then got bored because it was literally 6 feet high. Like, there was nothing cool about it. I wasn't like, oh, it's a cool view. No, it was just 6 feet. I was like maybe a few inches because I was sitting up straight, but it wasn't anything special. So I was like, you know what? I want to get down. And he's like, okay, cool. Giraffe, Elmo, a lot of other people at the bus stop that I couldn't even name to this day because I don't even remember. We're like, oh, like everybody got up there and kind of like surrounded me and we're like, jump, 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 jump. And I was like, I'm scared. Like, I know this is not going to end well. Like, I knew I should have, that right there was, I wasn't gonna go well, no matter what. They're like, jump, 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 jump. Peer pressure. You know how you're always like, if your parents are always like, if your friends jump off a bridge, would you do it too? I would always say no, but maybe I need to be evaluate my answer for that. So I'm like, all right, I'll jump. I jumped off the pillar, mind you, like this way, like just vertically down, how I'm sitting right now. I landed this way in a bush. Like, mind you, where I was at, there was all the bushes were like spiky bushes, and if you landed on top of it, it was not gonna be no bueno. But I just happened to turn my entire body, don't know how I did that, and land like with the bush. Instead of landing on top of it, I landed like leaning against the bush, so I was bending like all the things, but it made like a perfect bed, if that makes sense, for like of just leaves and bush. And so my leg, okay, let's give you a little bit of a diagram. This is how your foot was supposed to look, right? Basically, it went inwards and went to the side. When I say that, like, this is how it's supposed to look, it was like this. And so my leg, my ankle fully rotated, like, from here to here. And it's not supposed to look like that. I freak out, and I think I blacked out, and I'm laying back in the bush, and I'm like, and I look at my leg, because I don't know, I like human instinct, like, obviously I'm in pain, why am I in pain? And I look, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that is not supposed to look like that. So what do I do? What's the most reasonable thing for me to do in a fight or flight? Snap it back, readjustment, right here, right now. Who said I'm not a doctor? The doctor said that. Then I kind of black out again for, I don't know how long, maybe a few seconds, a few moments. And this is probably why everybody thought I was faking. But I wake up, like, kind of come to, and I realize what just happened and what I just did. And I start screaming, crying, like, help, 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 somebody call 911, somebody call 911, I just broke my ankle, I broke my ankle. Because I saw my ankle snap, right? I'm crying, and Giraffe goes, Eden, mind you, Giraffe played football, or plays, I don't know if he still does, like, I don't care to keep up with him. Giraffe played football at the time, and he was like, Eden, you didn't break your leg. If you broke your leg, you would still be in so much pain and crying. Mind you, like, I stopped crying and was more just screaming. Like, I had a few, like, tears down my face, but it was more screams at that point because I was in pain and I was scared because I was like 13 on the ground, like, and this is so funny, but there were these one kids whose mom would always come to the bus stop every day, and I remember like looking around for help, like begging people to help me, and this grown adult looking at me and just be like, a grown woman just looking at me like, that's not my kid. Did nobody call 911? Elmo decides he wants to pitch in and be like, yeah, Eden, you did not break your leg. You're such a crybaby. Like, get over yourself. Grow up. You're so ridiculous. Then ex-best friend 1 and 2, of course, they're friends after they ruined. Like, if you ever think you can get in a trio friendship, it won't work. 2 or 4, pick one. Don't do a trio, because I was the one that was kicked out. Don't do it. So then I am like crying. I'm looking for help, like a baby in a store lost, looking. I'm like, please, somebody, like screaming and crying still, screaming. Somebody call 911. I just broke my ankle. Nobody helped. Nobody called. And then I realized, before I jumped, I thought about giving my phone to my friend who was actually like she was younger and she was in 7th grade, and she wasn't mean. She was just like kind of concerned, but she didn't want others to judge her. And I don't judge her for that, because those were some judgmental people. But I remember that I had my phone in my pocket of my leggings, because I was like, well, how would I break it if I'm just gonna jump? And if I break it, I'll get a new one, because it was not the nicest phone at the time. And I was like, whatever. Because I was getting bullied by those same people for having an Android. So I was like, if it breaks, maybe my mom will give me an iPhone. And so then after that, I pull my phone out of my pocket, like grudgingly, like I called 911. I'm screaming. I feel so bad for the operator, but I'm screaming, crying, saying, I need an ambulance. I need like somebody to come get me. I broke my ankle. She's like, okay, where are you? You know, all the responder things. How old are you? What's your name? And then I hang up the phone and I call my mom and I tell her what happened. And she was at work and my little brother was with her. And she just screams out in pain, like from hearing what just happened. And I remember hearing her keys. She grabbed her keys, her purse. She's like telling my little brother, like, Ezra, not now. I gotta leave. I gotta go. And Ezra's like, what? My little brother, Ezra, he's like, what's happening? And she's like, Eden just broke her leg. Right? And so I'm like freaking out, like scared. I'm waiting for the ambulance. It took them maybe like 10 minutes. And then the bus gets there before the ambulance. So, of course, the bus is like, what's happening? Oh, this is funny. So then ex-best friend number 2 tries to pitch in and is like, you know, Eden, just get up. Like, just get on the bus. It can't be that bad. Like, and I'm like, I can't get on the bus, like wiping away tears. Like, I can't get on the bus. My legs snapped. There's no way I'm going to be even able to stand up. And she's like, but you just got to get on the bus. Because, and I was like, I can't even think about standing. And if I would have, it would have been so much pain. And so then the ambulance gets there, and of course the bus driver's still there because they have to take the statement. And it was a sub bus driver. He didn't know what he was doing. He was just like, okay, well, apparently there's a law where I live that the bus driver cannot get off the bus when he has students on the bus. When they have students on the bus. So because the students had already gotten on the bus, he had somebody else come ask me for my student number and my ID to make sure that it was my student number. Which, why would I lie about my student number? Why? Anyways. So I give them my ID and my student number, and then they're like, literally the ambulance is trying to get around the bus, like, because the bus is big, it's like in the way. The ambulance gets there when the bus is still there, and the firemen come. Because I don't know if they thought that I might have still been up there, but I think they just brought firemen just in case, because they didn't know if there was going to be more kids up there. Probably, you know, like always take preventative measures in that field of working. So the bus driver, or not the bus driver, the fireman cut off my shoe, cuts my sock, and when I tell you, it was cold that day, and so I couldn't tell if my bone had come out of the skin because the way my nerves were all finagled from the swelling and the break and the readjustment unprofessionally, it felt like it was bleeding, but it just was the cold wind hitting my leg. And so there was no blood, but when something swells, you know, you can feel everything. And so they have to bend my foot up that just broke. Like, there's multiple broken bones. Like, not just fractures, like, oh, like a crack, like, broken. Like, and they had to bend my foot up and put, like, an orange still on it. And then the firemen are like, can you get up because we have to take you to the hospital, and the ambulance need to put you on the stretcher. And I was like, I can't. Can they bring the stretcher here? Because I'm not going to be able to get up. They're like, no, but we can help you up. So these 2 firemen grabbed one arm, and they kind of, like, helped me. And I still had to hop on the one foot that was good. And so I hopped to the curb and then laid in the stretcher. And I will never forget, like, laying there. And this was like, if you know, you know. But this was when Tanner Fox had just gotten that really bad car accident recently, and he had got all the metal put in his leg. I just want to say, I now realize after I looked it up, because I wasn't sure if that was 100% correct, but it had been a few years. But what I was trying to say basically was when I jumped, And I saw everything that happened, and I felt the pain, and I cracked it back, and all that. I had a really, really strong feeling that it was going to be similar to that in the way that I would have metal inside my leg long term and not just like sticking out of it, because some people have the pins, but it ended up, I had a feeling that it would be like the actual screws, like inside that stay there for a few years or for the rest of your life. Just wanted to put that out there because I later realized that it was like 2 or 3 years different, but that's what I kept imagining in my head as I was on the way to the hospital. And I remember thinking like that's what's gonna happen. Like not of like a worst case scenario or I want that to happen. I just had a feeling it was broken and there was gonna be screws and metal in my leg. Like I just something told me. And so when all of this happened, I get in the ambulance and they they're taking all my information. They ended up calling my mom on my phone so they could administer medication for me because I had so much adrenaline and pain because I just broke 2 bones in my leg. And so I get to the hospital. My mom gets there. Literally, when they give you like the drugs at the hospital, you have no time perception, none at all. And so I get there, then we get like x-rays done and everything. Actually, I will put the x-ray here. 2 places, I'm pretty sure there's circles around where it's broken. And so then the doctor comes in and he's like, here's the thing, you need surgery and you need it as soon as possible. And I'm like, oh darn. Like when the doctor said that I needed surgery, my whole hospital bed started shaking because I was shaking so bad with fear. I was I started crying and they're like, no, you're gonna be okay. Lies. But then I'm like, oh my goodness. So the next day I get surgery because they couldn't fit me in that day, which they told me it was gonna be like a three. They told my mom it was gonna be a 2 or 3 hour surgery. Boy, were they wrong. I get down there, they realize they haven't, because apparently if you're a woman, like no matter if you just had your period or not, they have to give you a pregnancy test. And I was like, ma'am, I can assure you I am not pregnant. And they're supposed to do it as soon as you come to the hospital, but because they weren't doing what they're supposed to do, they waited till I was in surgery. And had they forgotten if I was pregnant, that would have been very bad. They didn't take my weight either. So they were all taking that like minutes before they're putting anesthesia in my vein to put me to sleep. I go into surgery, what was supposed to be a 2, maybe 3 hour surgery, turned into 4 hours. I come out. They said they were gonna give me a nerve block while I was in surgery, which is basically where they put numbing things. I don't know what it is, but they put something inside of your nerve, the nerve itself that feels the pain receptors to block the pain. But my theory and what I'm pretty sure, like it's hard to speculate, but I'm gonna speculate. The doctor did not know what he was doing because I was over the average weight of somebody my age. He didn't know how to handle it. He didn't know what he should do. He was most definitely not experienced with that, I could tell, because they gave me too much anesthesia, too much drugs, like pain medicine after I got out of surgery, and put the nerve block inside of my nerve wrong. They didn't do it properly. Couldn't feel my toes after the nerve block was supposed to wear off for like a month and a half. Still have nerve problems with it. So they didn't do it right. I wake up out of surgery in so much pain when I was assured multiple times it would not hurt because of the nerve block that they did wrong. So after them like, oh yeah, it's not gonna hurt. Lies. I woke up shaking like a leaf again, freezing cold, in pain, heart rate accelerating. Then they're like, oh my goodness, this isn't good. They give me all sorts of drugs and they're like, that should help. Heart rate goes down. Basically, they were slowly killing me because pain can cause your heart rate to accelerate. And a lot of times what happens is your heart rate accelerates so much to the point that it gives out. Like if you're trying to tap really fast, eventually you're going to stop tapping because your body's going to just like hit like if you're tapping your finger really fast, eventually it's just gonna be like, and it's like, you get what I'm saying. It's not gonna work. So, and then they slow it down too much. So after two, basically, like times they nearly kill me, they're like, okay, time for you to go back to your room. Nurse or the doctor, I don't know her official title, that was on my floor, that was supposed to receive me, like have me come down. She was like, no, not happening. Not happening. You guys need to watch her. Why would you give her that many drugs that fast without knowing what's the cause? And so basically, almost didn't make it out. Somehow I did. And I will tell you, I'm glad that I did, but it was painful in the process. I was in a lot of pain when I was in and out of consciousness. And I went into surgery around 10 o'clock. Did not wake up till like 6. I want to say like 6 or 7. And even after that, I had maybe 10 minutes of consciousness that I remember. So yeah. And yeah, I still have problems with my legs to this day. It still swells up for no reason, and I still have metal in there. I had surgery to put screws in my leg so that I could have basically some stability. I have 8 screws and a rod. Basically, there's a rod that goes here, and then there's 7 screws that go this way, and 1 that goes across the bend of my ankle, like here, to keep that place this way. Originally, the one in the bend of my ankle was supposed to get taken out, but because of COVID, they ended up saying, let's wait, and they never did. If you want to see the scar, I'm going to show, but if you don't, skip like I'm going to put a time frame on the screen. Skip to this time. I'm going to put it big in my face. Skip to this time if you don't want to see the scar. Now, it's not bad. It's just I know some people don't like to see scars. In my opinion, it's not bad, but I know some people don't like gory stuff like that. Or not even gory. Some people just don't like stuff like that. Here's the scar. It goes from here to here, and it's pretty large. I'd say 2, 4, 6, about 8 inches. Here's the other scar for this screw that's here. Goes from here to here. As you can see, this one's a lot worse. I put like Neosporin on it. Ignore how ashy my legs are. Neosporin on it to try to make it a lot less, and it definitely got better. Some places it shrunk a lot, but it's still there. Obviously, it's not gonna go completely away. I have to come to terms with that, and that's the decision that I made when I decided to do the stupid things that I did in middle school. That's the story. It's very wild. There's a lot of twists and turns to it. If you want to hear more stories from me, subscribe, turn post notifications on, and tell me in the comments, because I don't know sometimes if like what y'all want. Follow my Instagram. It's going to be right there. Turn post notifications on, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I post every Friday, so I'll see you next Friday. Goodbye.